আমার চান করছি বেরিয়ে করছি তোকে Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Cricket 360 on Rev Sports. Prantik is having some internet issues, so I'm just going to fill in. Okay, here you are.
Hi, everyone. Apologies. There was a bit of an internet issue, but well, that's life. I'm Prantik, and once again, I have Joydipta with me on Cricket 360. We were covering the India-West Indies series. Now we are on to a new series, India-Sri Lanka. And I'm so privileged to be in the city of joy, the city of Joydeep Mukherjee. Of course, he's not here. I wish we could have done this in person. He's obviously covering the Ranji Trophy, and we'll talk a lot about it. And potentially, there could be some interesting surprise about us covering some interesting domestic cricket topics as well. But here we are. The match is about to begin. Sri Lanka has won the toss. That's going to be held at Lucknow. Both sides obviously are missing some serious top class players on the Indian side. Pant, Kohli are missing out. Surya Kumar as well. And of course, if you look at the two sides, again, safe to say that, India's had the upper hand. Of course, if you look at the recent past, the last two T20s, Sri Lanka has won. But let's not forget that India played with a fairly, weakened side. And but overall, if you look at head to head, 10 out of 14, India is obviously on tops. At home, I think the last time India lost to Sri Lanka was in Pune 2016. Overall, things look in India's favor. Joydipta, welcome. Hopefully, all's well at your side. What is your take on Lucknow and this upcoming T20 contest? What are you looking forward to?
Thank you, Prantik. Always a pleasure to be on the show with you. Yes, I think this is also a series where a lot of trying out is going on from both sides. We are without our main players, some because they've been given rest, some because they're injured, or the dreaded diseases caught them, whatever might be the reason. So so are we, and so are they. Both the teams are not really with their A team, which will very seldom happen with the amount of cricket that all the countries play. I think unless it's the biggie like the World Cup or something like that, it'll be difficult to find everybody available for every series. I think those days are well gone past, because strangely, I was doing Ranji Trophy today and reading some figures of stats that are in front of us. So Vijay Hazare played first class cricket for 26 years. Okay,
Unreal.
uh, yeah, unreal. And he played loads of matches because India used to play once every 4 years a Test cricket. That's why we've got people who played 10 years and played 38 Test matches. Now somebody plays 10 years, you play 70 Test matches. If you're in England, you'll play 100 Test matches in 8, 9 years because that's the amount of Test matches the England team plays. So the point I'm trying to make here is that with the amount of cricket that's going on and the IPL and everything else that goes with it, and the game has also become much quicker and harder on the body. It was at a much easier classical pace back in the day. So with the pace of the play going up, there's bound to be more niggles, injuries, major injuries, workload monitoring. So everything is just gone through the roof. So this is the new normal, I feel. But at the end of the day, both the teams have to see some players. This is a great chance to see. At the end of the day, it is an international. It's an international series. These are not friendly matches that two teams are playing before the World Cup. Like you have those friendlies where 12 to bat, and it's really friendly. So I think very good chance for a lot of the newcomers to show what they can do and cement their place in that World Cup side for both the teams.
Absolutely. I mean, just earlier this afternoon, we were just talking about how rare it is for people to kind of play 100 test match. I mean, test matches, we obviously are waiting for Kohli's 100 tests at Mohali, but you suddenly realize that that may not be, a common phenomena for many Indian, the current circuit of players who are playing for India. But talking about T20, you're right. This is a format to experiment. India is obviously, of course, Rohit has made it clear that, he's obviously trying to look for that final 11 or 14. And let's talk about, today, obviously, you and I have spoken a lot about Surya Kumar's sense of belonging. He's become a champion. Ian Bishop has gone on to say he's probably one of the best, just the way we discussed as well, for that finishing role. With him being out, whose chance is it? And what are your thoughts on Sanju? Rohit's obviously given him a lot of confidence. Everyone is full of praises for someone like Sanju. What's the role? Do you kind of foresee Ishan, Ruturaj open, then Rohit, and then Sanju, or does Sanju get to come a bit lower? Your perspective on Surya Kumar's replacement, and especially with someone like a Sanju Samson, who obviously oozes talent. What's the sort of role that one would be expecting from a Sanju?
So two things here. One is that I love the way Rohit, the captain, welcomed Sanju. Even before he got onto the plane, just said that he's so talented, he's so good, it's just a question of time. If I was Sanju Samson, I'd be so upbeat about going and joining the Indian team. When the captain of the Indian team and one of the best players in the world are saying this about you, I'm prancing around. My confidence is so high. This game is so much about confidence. So that is great to see. And you can understand why Rohit is such a successful captain, why Rohit is loved by one and all. The stars, the ones who are there, and the ones who just about getting there. Everybody loves Rohit, just like everybody loves Raymond. But the reason is for things like this. He's very open. He's full of praise for people, and there's no doubt about Sanju Samson's talent. But talent is one thing, and another thing is to be able to put that into place. And Sanju has often thrown it away in the past. I have had a chance to work with Sanju in KKR. I'm very fond of him. We are very close, and I love the guy. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get 20 chances playing for India. It hasn't happened to anybody in the world, and it's not going to happen to you either. So it's about time where he will make use of this opportunity. I still feel he'll bat at 3, and if I know Rohit, he'll probably put Sanju at the position that he likes to bat. Because if you're inviting somebody to your place for dinner, you give him the drink or the food that he would want to have, and not the one that you're forcing upon him to make me comfortable. If I'm comfortable in a corner sofa in your house, you would say, please sit wherever you want, instead of saying, no, you're designated to sit here. So you're not putting me straight away under the pump saying that, okay, this is what you do, this is what you drink, this is what you eat, this is where you go. But you are leaving it to me. So if I have a feeling he will bat at 3, Rohit will make a sacrifice and go at 4. So I'm not so sure it's such a great idea. But Rohit is a seasoned campaigner. He can come back at open anytime and just pick up from where we left off. But at the end of the day, we are again tinkering with our team. So Rohit will not bat at 4 in the T20 World Cup. He will be opening. So those are the things that will come in place. But that's the only way. If you want to see a couple of openers at the top, if you want to see Sanju at 3, somebody's got to sacrifice, and Rohit's the man.
And I guess that's the sort of captain he is. He's obviously done this
He is.
in the past where he kind of sacrifices. But I suppose that's why he's so good as a leader, as well as he's probably so confident that, he takes a break, he goes down to a different position, comes back and can open with the same flair. So does that make Venkat?
And he is
Yeah,
clearly uncomfortable at four. It's
yes.
evident. Anybody would. Okay. So in football, you don't see Cristiano Ronaldo playing at left back because we're trying a striker. He'll just sit out the game. But here is the skipper. So all I'm trying to say here is that in spite of being uncomfortable, because he hasn't done it for a long time, and just to go to bat in the eighth over with five fielders outside the circle, spinner bowling, and you're batting on zero is not easy for somebody who in the eighth over is 45-50 batting.
That's right. And
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 he's
that's the
availed the power play. Yeah, he's availed the power play and he's done the hard work and he's there. He's already on his way. The car is on third gear. But here he's
yeah.
starting the car in the eighth over. It's not easy. It's not easy, not for Rohit. If it's not easy for Rohit, it can't be easy for anybody else because there are very more talented players than Rohit Sharma in this cricketing world. So the mindset, the skills you need, everything else, just a question. He's just not done it. If he does it for 5-6 games, he'll get to it also. That's how good he is. But it's just that he's out of his comfort zone. But the captain is prepared to go through that to make sure he's accommodating everybody. And this is the reason why Rohit Sharma is special.
Absolutely. And, a very excited look at, how Ishan and Rituraj build an innings. Obviously, very crucial games for these newcomers. They're obviously getting this special invite, as you rightly said. And this is the chance for them to kind of make a mark. Sri Lanka may not be the best opposition in the world, but still, a game is a game. It's an international game. Looking really forward to how does Rituraj, again, he's, obviously done wonders in the IPL in the domestic circuit, but hopefully he can make a mark and so can Ishan. And my question to you from a finishing perspective, does that put a little bit of extra pressure on Mr. Venkatesh Iyer, who's obviously had a fabulous series? He held his own ground, batting, bowling. Of course, he batted very well alongside Surya Kumar, and he obviously mentioned in some of the comments that, how important it was. And Surya mentioned that beautiful line that, once again, we have that opportunity today to kind of do this again. So, but would India be relying on Venkatesh to be that finisher in the place of Surya?
Yeah, that is the tough job. If the game is small and short, it's fine. But if it's a long game, if he comes in the 12th over and we've got to win, we've got in 48 balls, 74 to win, then the maturity and the range that Surya has will be missed. There's no doubt about it. There is just no
Yeah.
doubt. Somebody who had that range would probably, the closest I would think would come to Raina at his best. He was superb. His range, he could do anything. And there are others who are equally effective, but they do it their way. There are areas they do it and they back themselves. So if you talk about a Chris Gale and a range of a Surya's range is more, but that doesn't make Chris Gale any less because his in the areas of his strength he can get away with it and he can do his own. Range only comes in if you get stuck. So the only reason why Surya is so important is because many plans don't work for him. Generally, there are one or two plans that you would have for every batter, even if it's Gale or Russell. I know teams have plans for Gale. We've had when we were in KKR. Teams have plans for Russell as well. And the best teams have plans for Virat Kohli. But you need more than 3 or 4 plans for Surya. That's what I'm trying to say. Because he has got answers for a few plans. And you have to do something beyond his comfort level. Often what happens with such players is they'll get out to very tame dismissals, as the Cotton Bowl was. We saw. It baffles us. We all feel like, how can a player like Surya get up to a ball like this from Ralston Chase? He could hit this anywhere. But soft dismissals also come with your talent, with your range. But just going back to your question, a couple of questions back, you said about Sanju. Look at how Venkatesh Iyer, out of his comfort zone, has made his place in the Indian team, whereas Sanju has played quite a few games, but he's given it away. So if I was Sanju, I'd take a cue out of Venkatesh Iyer and try and do something which keeps me in the team, because you can only get better if you're in the team.
Very well said. You can only do better if you're in the team. And Sanju, really, if you're obviously, this is massive. I mean, obviously, in the previous series against Sri Lanka, he did get a chance along with folks like Dev Particle as well. There's so much talent. And And this is a classic, chance to shine before the World Cup. Captain's kind of back to you. You're playing in home conditions. Hopefully, this works out well. And of course, one fine day, I'm going to ask you, deeper questions about what are the plan ABCs against the universal boss, Mr. Gale. I don't know how does that work. We'll talk about it. But let's talk about the Indian bowling. Specifically Chahal. He has taken, I was looking at some stats that he has the most number of wickets against Sri Lanka compared to other countries, and at a very, very healthy rate. I think about 15 odd wickets against Sri Lanka at about 16 odd. But he's had a fairly relatively quiet series against the West Indies. How important is this series for Chahal? Because obviously he's kind of making a comeback. He obviously has a very good T20 record. Would spin be critical in the Lucknow pitch in terms of the Lucknow scheme of things? What does Chahal need to do differently to be be an attacking, to be a force to be reckoned with against Sri Lanka?
So Chahal is a certainty in the Indian team in the T20 World Cup. What is important for us is to be Chahal back to what he was, and he is not. So just like the batters have a dip in form, and I'm not going to take names, but we know some batters who are not in their form. So the bowlers also go through that, but we don't see that enough because you don't see Chahal out for 12, out for 7, out for 5, out for 13, out for 17. That happens for the batter. But for the bowler, it's hidden. The loss of form is sometimes hidden. Like a 432 no wickets can be a bad outing for Chahal, but it's not that bad in the context of T20 cricket. So that's 8 runs and over. So all I'm trying to say here is for a bowler to actually be out of form is sometimes hidden in the team performance. Somebody else comes and bowls 423-2, and somebody bowls 426, and somebody bowls a last over giving 10 runs away, and you win the game. That 432 is hidden. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that Chahal is not at his best, but he's the best we have, and I love the guy because he has so much of guile for a small guy like him, so much of guile that he has, and he actually baffles you with his skill, his drift, his dip, his spin, his googly, his variation in pace. And sometimes how you treat a bowler of this kind will also help him get over this hurdle of not being at his best. So I think Rohit has been known to be a bowler's captain. He always goes to the bowlers and gives them what they want, takes them out for meals and spends a lot of time with them. Bowlers win you matches, Prantik. It's bowlers. If you see in the history of IPL, Sunil Narayan, Lasith Malinga, the guys who won. If you look at Chennai, the bowling, the Deepak Chahars, the Ravindra Jadejas, it's the bowling that wins you games, no matter which game you're playing. So in this level, you will always find a Rohit Sharma like Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, already starting to bowl a lot better than he did before this because he's got a captain he has a comfort level with, he can rely on. Maybe he's had a quiet word and put his hand around his shoulder and say, Bhuvi, don't worry about your place. I'm here, bro. That's it. That's all you need. Suddenly everything becomes so much easier. So these are the sort of things you do outside a cricket field, which also shows how good a captain you are. And I have no doubt in my mind, having seen him captain Mumbai Indians for so long, having seen him, Bumrah has had off days, Malinga has had 50-run days also. But the way they come back, I have a feeling that Rohit really is a bowler skipper, and nothing for a bowler could be better than that.
Some wonderful leadership insights on what a leader needs to do outside the field, off the field, and also especially when someone has a bad day. But now let's imagine, how does Rohit take care of, you obviously are encouraging your bowlers, but you can only pick that many. India has obviously seen some good performances from Harshal, from Bhuvi, as you rightly said, some match-winning performances in the previous series with Bumrah, with Jadeja, with Avesh Khan, Siraj in the mix overall. For Lucknow, what's your combination in terms of pace attack today?
So I still feel that it's still, he's going to try some combinations out. I think him and Rahul Dravid will sit and try some combinations out, try and figure out and try and give everybody the chances. I haven't seen the wicket yet, so I don't really know what exactly is going to be but if I can say the playing 11, it's Rohit Sharma, Ishan Kishan, Sanju Samson, Shreya Shaya, Venkatesh Iyer, Deepak Hooda, Ravindra Jadeja, Harshal Patel, Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Jasprit Bumrah, and Yajuvendra Chahal. So that is a pretty strong bowling. You've got Bumrah back, you've got Kumar who's done well, Harshal in the form of his life, Ravindra Jadeja, that's a name you always want to hear in any cricket match, and Yajuvendra Chahal. So you know that bowling is as good as it gets. So it's good to see that they're back with their full throttle, and they're probably trying. They're probably a couple of games. They'll rotate everybody around, make sure that everybody gets a game, find out how their bodies are. There's a lot of travel going on. So having said that, I feel this is as strong a bowling as we can have fit on the park.
Absolutely. Very happy to hear about that list, especially Ravindra Jadeja. That makes our batting go even deeper. Obviously, a fantastic all-rounder. Good to hear about Deepak Huda. Deserves chances. Again, one of these attacking players that we have. Hopefully, he again develops, he gets more chances and develops into that middle order strong finisher that India obviously needs as it goes into the World Cup. Let's quickly move to the Sri Lankan side. It's without the two Kusals. I'm looking forward to, Asalanka, Nisanka. I mean, there's so much potential, but obviously they're missing. I mean, I would have loved to see, what Hataranga could have, Hasaranga could have done for Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, he's out due to COVID. Had,
Yeah.
fantastic IPL bid. He would have loved to come out and express himself. From, when you're playing with a depleted side, uh, does it sometimes help in the sense, there's nothing to lose. Our track record isn't great against India. We're playing in their home conditions. We don't have a full side. So nothing to lose. Let's just go out and, like you always said, like, let's go play out like the West Indies, let's express ourselves. What's the best mode of attack, or what's the best strategy for a Sri Lankan so-called depleted unit at this juncture?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, Sri Lanka is it's just a tiny country. And sometimes we treat it as a full grown country. They are smaller than some of our states. And once I was having this chat with one of the legends of Sri Lankan cricket, Muthai Muralidharan, and they said we have about 25 players, 28 players. That's all we have. But in India, we actually can put up four teams, five teams. That's how good the as big as a country we are, as big, as good as our system is. BCCI has done a fabulous job in streamlining the cricket from all over. So our pool is much bigger than theirs. So I feel for the Sri Lankans. But in spite of that, they have won a World Cup. They won a T20 World Cup. They've got the players of the likes of Kumara Sangakkara, Mahela Jayawardene, Sana Jayasuriya. I could go on and on and on. But they're going through a bit of a transition phase where the Jayawardenes and the Sangakkaras are not there yet. But because of their population, because of the size of the country, it's going to take a while. So when Tendulkar went, we found a Virat Kohli quickly. It's not going to happen that quickly for them because they don't have that much of a range to pick from. But I have no doubt in my mind, but as far as talent is concerned, that they're up there. They're just short on people, and that is a reason why they take a little bit of extra time to be able to turn the corner. But they have some match winners, and yeah, you're right. Hasaranga, I mean, what a bid he had, knocked Hugh off his feet. So having said that, yeah, this is also an opportunity for the others to put up their hand and say that, listen, I am also good enough. I'm making my presence felt. Not only am I helping my selectors me make the T20 team, but also if there are some injuries or something, if there's an opportunity, I would have put my hand up for the Indian Premier League.
Yeah, very well said. And if you're a Sri Lankan fan, if you follow Sri Lankan cricket, size obviously matters, but at the same time, you can seek inspiration from the likes of New Zealand, Australia. Again, Australia is a large country, but just 22, 23 million people. But you're right, it takes a while. But suddenly you kind of, my memory takes back me to '96. When that little, teardrop, so to speak, you saw a different approach from the likes of Sanath and Kalu Vitharan, and obviously you had the greats of Ranatunga and De Silva. But just the brand of cricket they started playing, they started changing things around. So there's always hope. I suppose you have to make the most of what you can do. You can't do too much with your population, but hopefully, just the way they've been competing, I think the idea is really how do you put up a good fight? Winning, losing doesn't matter. T20 is that format. The West Indians have shown this in the recent past that if there's a format where you can take your chances, gamble, and express yourself, anything can happen on a T20 game. Well, we are just about to, the match is about to get started. Hopefully it's a, riveting contest. What we really want to see, what we saw in the India-West Indies series, I thought there was a little lack of fight from the West Indians, barring the second game. Hopefully the Sri Lanka-India series is a tight one. It's well contested because it's not just about winning or losing. Both sides will want to compete hard, not just because, to win points, but also to prepare hard for the upcoming World Cup. So enjoy the game, enjoy the wonderful evening match and Lucknow. Joydipda and I'll be back post-match. Thank you, Joydipda. Enjoy the game, and I'll catch you soon.
Always a pleasure. Of